one unit's worth of rent that month, but it guaranteed you 5 more leases because of somebody seeing that on social media.
Welcome back to the Multifamily Marketers Podcast. I'm Josh Grillo, co-founder here at Resident 360, and I am joined by my co-host today, Caroline Mills. Caroline, how are we doing this morning?
Hey, Josh. Doing great today. How are you?
Doing amazing. Today, we are talking about the exciting topic of resident events and why they can help increase occupancy. Now, Caroline, I know you spent a lot of time doing resident events at different properties. So I'm going to kick it off with you. Why are resident events so important for multifamily communities?
They really are, and it's such a overlooked or underrated piece of marketing that you can do, I think. People think, oh, it's just to, give your residents something to do, but it's truly a valuable piece of marketing. And there are 5 main things that having resident events can do. They, 1, increase retention. 2, they drive word of mouth referrals. We've talked about that in a few other episodes. 3, elevate our brand. 4, create organic marketing opportunities. And 5, most importantly, they show your residents you care. So you have all these different things that are going into it. So it's not just one area. It's not just marketing. It's not just word of mouth, but it's doing a lot for your brand, for your community. And then most of the time, while yes, you're paying for some resident events, it's free marketing opportunities.
Now, when it comes to resident events, do you need to have like a really big budget to do these things? Or is it, can you have almost like no budget and still pull off a successful resident event?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have seen it done many different ways at different properties. You really don't need a lot. Yes, maybe having a smaller budget, you might have to get a little bit more creative sometimes. But there are all sorts of really cool events that you can do for your resident, and you can do them on a really small budget. And you'll be surprised the more you get your residents to engage, because I know some of you may be thinking, okay, well, if I start this now, we're going to have like 3 people show up. And you might the first time, but the more you do these resident events, the more that they're spreading word in the community and that you're marketing these events, the more people you're going to have. So I've seen some, events go on $50 budgets, $150 budgets, $200 budgets. You truly don't need a lot to get your residents engaged. I know we'll talk about some ideas here later on, but you can truly do this on a small budget. Just be creative with what you're working with.
Is there a certain number that you need to have or aim for? Like, is there, I guess, a monthly requirement for resident events? Like, we need to do 1 a month or 2 a month or 5 a month. Like, what have you seen? What really works well?
Yes, the strategy that I've personally done is 2 events a month. That kind of gives your residents time to come to something. Not every resident is going to be able to come to everything they do, but at least if they get to come to one of these things, they're getting to do something in their month. And then just for the sake of your team, every other week is technically what it, almost amounts to. You don't want to have your team pulled out of too many things too often, but this is a marketing opportunity. And so I would say every 2 weeks is roughly 2 a month is what we kind of look for. And one of those can be a smaller event, one can be a larger event. And it just gives your residents variety of what they can choose to come to. And then it makes it exciting for your team too.
How do we get how would a property get the word out about the resident event, right? Like, so they want everybody to come, as many people as they can get there. So what is the best way to actually get the word out that the event's happening, whatever that event is?
Yeah, we would usually do a few different things. You can say it's a smaller event. You're just doing a little something at your property. Post on social media, absolutely. And based on some of our other conversations we've had in some other episodes, make sure you're getting those residents to engage with your social media, sending out emails and getting them to follow you on those things early on, so that when you are posting things like this, that you have those residents on there and they're able to see it. Second would be sending out email reminders, and don't just send out one. I think it's very easy. Yes, while we get inundated with spam emails a lot, send out one, just letting residents know what's going on that month. We used to do a monthly newsletter on site. And so at the beginning of the month, we would say, hey, here's what's going on all month. Here's some key highlights, some key takeaways. And then we would probably do like the day before and the day of, just an internal resident communication, just reminding them of the event going on. And then another good one that I love is if you are partnered with somebody in the community, have that person or that business also post on their social media. Then you guys are kind of cross promoting each other. You're paying for their ice cream truck to come by your property, and the ice cream truck is posting back. And so you may have some residents that are following some of these key vendors, or maybe they're new on site and they haven't followed you on social media. So then you guys are kind of mutually working together.
Got it. And obviously, I guess on-site banners and stuff like that, are posted around the property of the event that's happening.
Yeah, great one.
Would really drive people to that specific event. Mm-hmm. All right. So ideally, we're aiming for, let's say, 2 events a month. Maybe it's one every other week. Now, let's talk about specific class properties. If you're A, B, C class property, should we all be doing resident events? I mean, do C class properties need to be doing resident events?
Absolutely. I think one, it shows as a brand as a whole, whether that be you as an owner or you as a management company. It shows as a brand that you care about all of your residents and them all getting the same kind of experience that you want to provide, that your brand is associated with, regardless of what community they're living at. Not everybody can afford maybe your A-class property down the street. So you just want to show them that they're still getting the same brand value. While yes, they may not have a $3,000 A-plus experience party, they still have some kind of resident event to look forward to get to know people in their community. And the marketing still works the same way. In fact, you may see it work in different ways at different class properties. At your A-level properties, maybe you're in like a high-techy driven area, you have an A-class property. Maybe those residents are the ones posting live videos. They're on social media. But maybe at your C-class property, it is, by a school in a certain area or whatever it may be. So maybe word of mouth works better at those communities. Either way, you've got different great marketing outlets to use regardless of the class level of your community.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about ideas, right? Like everybody wants ideas. Like what are some really cool resident event ideas, right? So here we are, we're recording. We are just the start of our fall. We're early September here, right? Yeah. So it's all about fall event ideas. So do you have any really good ones that you can share?
Yeah, I think you've got some fun ones, depending on your demographic and what you're looking for. Some that I've personally done, I have done pumpkin decorating night. So you can go out and buy pumpkins. They don't have to be large. Again, if you're on a budget, they could just be the small little pumpkins that you get at the grocery store. If you have a local pumpkin place, that's another great person to partner with and use. You can paint, you can carve, you can do all sorts of fun things, and that can be for kids, for anybody to be involved. And then this is a good one that we always thought of is like use your amenities to your advantage. So one that we would do is we had a fire pit at a community. So we gave away s'mores kits. And so then one, it got residents to come by and get some s'mores kits and they were all around the fire together. But then two, reminds people of these great amenities to use and what they can take advantage of. We've done all sorts of pet ones. So something fun around Halloween. We've either had pet costume contest. Another fun one I've seen is a pet costume parade. That would be really fun. People love getting their pets involved. We've done, of course, around like Thanksgiving, Christmas, thinking a little bit ahead, some kind of Thanksgiving, maybe like either a food drive if you want to help and, give back to the community. You can have a potluck. Again, that's one if maybe you don't have the funds of catering a Thanksgiving, you can do a potluck. Lots of fun football parties you can do, tailgates, watch parties. Again, using your clubhouse to that advantage. Some other fun ones we've done like building events, charcuterie board workshops. We've I had one community where I taught people how to make the hand knitted blankets, like the really chunky knit blankets. So you can do all sorts of really, really fun fall things, fall and winter.
What about, all these resident events? What about bringing friends? Is that encouraged or not? Like bring your friend along, bring a guest. I mean, is that something that's encouraged or not so much?
Yeah, it's up to your community. We did encourage it. In fact, we would even tell prospects when they came by. Like if we had a prospect come in on a day, like we did this really huge Christmas party at one of my properties. And I mean, we went all out. This was an A-level property, but we had a snow machine. We had a DJ. We had catered food. We had drinks. We had a photographer. We had all sorts of really fun things going on. So we're setting up, roughly midday to make sure this is ready in time. And so if we would ever have prospects come in for a tour, especially the day of, and they see all this stuff going on and they're asking you what's going on, well, one, it's a great selling feature on your tour because you're walking around showing them all the great fun things you can do. Residents are usually out and about talking about it. Like everyone gets really excited those days, especially if it's like a Halloween event and you're dressed up fun, or it's Christmas and you're wearing like silly sweaters. we would tell prospects to come back by, and we actually would have some prospects that would come back to events and see them and just tell them, it's free, come on down, come see what it's like here. And we've actually sold prospects on signing with us that way. Another one, bring your friends. That is exactly that great word of mouth. So if we had a pool party, you can bring up to 2 guests per, registered tenant you have on property. Let them bring some prospects with them and let them come to the pool. So it's up to you and your management company and your property manager, but I think it's really fun. I've never seen anybody that's brought like 30 people or anything, so we were never concerned about it. But bring a few, especially if they're interested in the property.
All right, so let's talk about the event itself, right? Events happening. So should you designate one person that's responsible for making sure good photos are taken, videos are taken, maybe there's somebody collecting reviews about the property? Like talk about the dynamics a little bit of these events, right? Yes. I mean, you can have the greatest event, but then after it's all done, somebody says, well, did anybody take any photos? I only had one photo and it came out blurry, right? So is there what should be the organization of this thing in terms of collecting the marketing material that comes from it?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned this so much because yes, that's exactly what it is. You need to use the team dynamic to your advantage. We would always encourage our maintenance techs maintenance supervisors to also come and be with us. Now, we may not ask them to be the ones, posting for social media, but just to be there and talk with people. But we had a dynamic of 3 of us in the office at one point at one property. And so one would be the person just kind of helping go around, making sure everything was going okay, talking with everybody, making sure vendors had what they need. We would have another person who was the social media picture taker, so to say. And so they would get everyone to pose for photos. They would take action shots. We would take photos before and after. And then our third person would be somebody asking for reviews, just making sure residents are having a great time, they're interacting, and they could carry around a tablet and ask for reviews right then or pass out, QR codes and things like that we've talked about. But you're so right. It is something you have to think about ahead of time because you'll get in the swing of the event, like you said, halfway through and nobody's taken a single photo. Now, you may have a community where residents are great at taking photos and they'll tag you in them or send them to you, but you don't want to rely on just that. It's great if they do, but you never want them to feel pressured like they're the ones that need to take all the photos.
Got it. Yeah, I was going to say, I would imagine just having that meeting ahead of time of the event, and making sure roles are literally designated out so that this stuff gets taken care of. Yeah. It made me think of a cool idea as well. Like if you have somebody that's collecting photos, videos, and so forth, on your own property website, setting up an actual individual resident events page where you're actually sharing this content, that could be something a little bit different and maybe a little bit of a separation factor because you don't see that typically on a lot of property websites. There's nothing for resident events typically. So having, kind of a day in the life and showing different videos and photos of these events, could be a good idea to separate your property out there from the competitors.
I love that idea. I think that'd be great because I'm someone who goes and looks at people's social media for this, but not everyone has social media. So be a great way to boost that engagement.
All right. So if a community only has budget for one event this fall, which one would you recommend and why?
That's a good question. I would say if you could truly only have one event this fall, I would probably want to think of your demographic and I would gear it around something that everybody can truly engage in. So whether that be something for Halloween, like some kind of trunk or treat costume contest, costume parade, whatever it may be, get your pets, your kids, your families, your couples, like truly anybody can participate and dress up. It's really fun to have some kind of like costume contest, even if it's something small. People love to get engaged that way. Or a Thanksgiving. I find that we always have really good turnouts at either one of those, and it just brings people together. Usually it's chillier around that time, brings people together. Anybody can, have fun and dress up into anything, and then anybody can eat. So anyone loves something good that they're getting to get involved in the community. And those are both ones, that don't have to cost you a lot of money. Your residents dressing up, maybe the only thing you're providing is a candy basket and maybe a prize. And then Thanksgiving could really be potluck. I mean, we've done catered ones before, which are great, but it could be potluck, depending on your funds.
Got it. Okay. Last question. When it comes to resident events, is there any specific KPI or measurable that could be put towards a resident event? Like how do you measure this stuff? I mean, are you measuring based off how many people show up? But I mean, really, we're putting a budget towards twice a month resident event, right? How do we really measure it, right? How do we measure it for success, for occupancy, for retention, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, and that's a good thing to point out is I think maybe this is why it is often an overlooked piece because some of it is hidden or invisible KPIs, right? Like we don't ask our residents to tell us who all they told about the event afterwards. But they may tell 7 people the next time they're out in public at a coffee shop and someone overhears it and you just never know that's how they found out about it. We would never pressure residents to post on social media. Oftentimes we would post it. I know we've talked about this in our social media rule 1. We would post the content and then the residents engage themselves and we don't even have to ask for it. Then they're tagging family members, then they're sending it along, they're commenting back, and it's really easy engagement. I would say one KPI, especially if you're getting started, that you can do is truly how many people are coming to the events. 1, it helps you budget how much you need for anything that you're providing. But then 2, it shows like just how much of the community you're getting engaged. Like I said earlier, you may start these events and 3 to 5 people show up because they don't know what you're doing. They don't know what's going on and you've never had it before. But surely down the line, slowly, you will gain more and more people coming to these. And then you can, depending on what you're doing, what you're tagging, how often people are getting engaged, then it's being talked about more. But there's not necessarily a certain number. You may say, well, why are you going to put, $3,000 towards a Christmas party? But then when it's posted on social media and it gets you that brand, that may be 1 unit's worth of rent that month, but it guaranteed you 5 more leases because of somebody seeing that on social media. So it can be hard to track, but it truly drives brand value and gives those residents, especially at, an A+ properties and when they're paying so much, of what they're looking for and what they see value in.
Awesome. That's good stuff. All right. We are going to wrap up this episode. Any last final tips when it comes to resident events, Caroline?
I say have fun. It can be something we talked about it happening often. Truly have fun with it. Do events that you'll love going to and that you would want to be a part of. You never want it to be a headache. You don't want to seem frustrated, when you're there trying to put it together. So make it easy and make it fun. You'll enjoy it and the residents will enjoy it more too.
I like that. Make it easy and make it fun for sure. All right. I appreciate everybody listening to the show today. If you got value from this episode, please like, subscribe, share it with your other team members out there. And we will be back next week with another episode of the Multifamily Marketers Podcast. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye, Caroline.